Muito bem, para encerrar esse segundo dia de
Close the
fórum,
second day of the forum, we'd like to invite the Special Secretary for Foreign Trade and International Affairs of the Ministry of the Economy, Roberto Fendt. Good afternoon. I'd like to thank ABDE for the kind invitation. Very important topics were addressed today, very important for the current moment of the Brazilian economy. So I'd like to say that several trends have been emerging in the last few years and have gained strength in this planetary crisis. The COVID pandemic requires major responses. The world is trying to reestablish global value chains, but previous changes were already underway with emphasis on regionalization. Labor relations have been deeply affected with alterations in supply and in demand. Less skilled workers especially were affected. Unemployment may result in substantial losses of income for a significant share of workers. An acceleration of the process of digitalization has taken place with deep consequences in terms of employment and also companies and families. In spite of continuous macroeconomic weakness, the number of bankruptcies has dropped. We've had a generalized deterioration of public finances and private finances, a risk to be monitored in the future. The current monetary conditions have caused a virtuous cycle between governments, banks, and companies. Market conditions may be tested with higher returns of financial investments. A time will come for assessing which companies will not sustain themselves without public support, guaranteeing the smoothest possible transition. The world has achieved mixed progress in the fight against the pandemic and has witnessed the emergence of new variants of the virus. So divergences or inequalities remain. Recovery will be unequal among countries and between emerging and developed countries. So divergent recovery may lead to the need to address the vaccination problem, and also extreme poverty has increased. And in this broad and challenging scenario, Brazil is seeking ways to overcome obstacles. The Ministry of the Economy has been doing its part, making efforts and allocating its human resources to address the problem. And reforms at Congress will bring about the best practices in public policies recognized by the main entrepreneurs around the world. Another aspect of relevance is the maintenance of pragmatism, which has always provided a framework for the relations between Brazil and other countries.
Brazil has its beliefs and values, but the links with other countries go through objectivity in national interest. It is important to work to have markets, especially in the regions with more dynamic markets. We also need to highlight a very important factor for international insertion or inclusion. It is not trivial it does not only depend on international decisions, but we need to be in line with international criteria. This aims to bring about sustainable development in our economies, breaking away from past protectionist policies. It is not easy, but it is necessary for an actual economy of market, or market economy, I beg your pardon. We have seen a high level of closure in the economy, and going to OECD can provide for improving this effect. We have in the Ministry of the Economy, we have relied also with colleagues from the central bank. We have high standards. They have high standards that are adhering to the appropriate criteria. The idea is to reduce financing costs for productive activities in Brazil. Minister Paulo Guedes, this week, with counterparts with Mercosul, Chancellor France, and Minister Paulo Guedes, we put on the table our idea of modernization of Mercosur and the possibility of unilateral negotiations by Mercosur members according to their interests that would not bring harm to the interests of the others. So each member can have access to international markets. Emphasizing the words of Minister Guedes, saying that we intend to relaunch the Mercosur. Mercosur that is more dynamic, that provides for the needs of integration of the country, aiming to increase productivity. And we offer to our partners in Mercosur the possibility of each one of them to choose the pace they want now, this year, and the next years, to give attention to the reforms that are critical for the reform of the Brazilian markets. Good afternoon. Thank you all. Very well.